My name is Johnny Lujan, and I'm a stand for the silent. Bullying is an epidemic in our communities, in our businesses, in our culture. And I'm here to help you brainstorm on solutions to help stop bullying. The majority of individuals, I would venture to say 100% of individuals have either been bullied, participated in bullying, or witnessed bullying sometime in their life, from childhood up into corporate America. Near and dear to my heart, I was bullied my first time when I was 12 years old. I moved up from East Los Angeles to a little town called El Dorado Hills back then. I went to a school called Buckeye Elementary School. I came from East LA. My first day of school, I had a black beanie, a Pendleton buttoned at the top. My Levi's were cut at the bottom with a Mexican flag sewn on the bottom of my pants. And I walked in the first day of school, the kids wearing jeans, flannels, chewing tobacco in their back pocket, cowboy hats, and cowboy boots. Needless to say, I stood out. I got bullied from my first day of school. I kept getting bullied, and there was really no solution back in 1974. Our solution, my family's solution, was hit as hard as you can, kick as hard as you can. They'll never bully you again. I'm here to tell you that's not the right answer. It was the right answer at the time because I couldn't go home and tell my father that I was being bullied without a fight. Today's technology, today's emotional state of our country, of our cities and our communities, I beg to differ. Today we're going to find out through brainstorming solutions to bullying. And if you haven't been bullied, I'm going to show you a video clip really fast to help you learn emotionally what bullying is. My friend Victor is going to play that video for us right now.
Remember a time in class when you cracked your pants and everybody started laughing at you? Just a loser. Get out of here. This is my swing. No. Get out of here. No. It's my swing. What are you even doing here? You don't have any friends. So it's my swing. Get out of here. You don't have friends? Yeah, I have friends. I want them right here. No, honestly, why do you smell so bad? Why are you even here? Do you even have any friends? I honestly think you just sit there and talk. Where are your friends? Where's your mommy? Go back to your mom. When was the last time that you took a shower? Hope you guys enjoyed that video. Make sure to follow me on Snapchat at BetterCTV and tell me what you guys thought about the video. Can't wait to hear from all of you.
Outstanding. So I hope that stirs something in your heart. Because every single one of us has either been on the bench being bullied, or stood up bullying others, or maybe that innocent bystander that stepped in. I crave to be that person these days. I have said on every side of that, the bench and the bully, and the witness, and the stepping in person. I'll read you a stat, and then we'll get into our brainstorming session to give you an idea just how devastating bullying is in our country. 2013, they did a study. 20% of all 9th and 12th graders have been bullied. 1 in 65,000 10 to 14-year-olds suffer from grave emotional disorders due to bullying. 160,000 children stay home from school every single day because they are too afraid to go to school because of bullying. 9 times more likely to commit suicide, which is the 3rd leading cause of death in our country to children. 4,400 kids a year die because of suicide. A lot of it range from bullying. Well, we're here today to throw that away, rip this up, and say no more bullying, no more corporate bullying, no more emotional bullying, no more children bullying, no more church bullying, no more family bullying. So as we stem from this, we're going to start brainstorming now about solutions to stop bullying. Don Marie's going to stand up and do some writing for me, or as we make our list. And you got to remember, there's different types of bullying. There's social bullying, verbal bullying, physical bullying. I've suffered all 3, and I've participated in all 3. So let's start by thinking about those 3 topics and say, how do we stop bullying? This is a brainstorming session, so there is no wrong answer. There's no right answer. They're just ideas. And we're going to load that board with ideas of how we can stop bullying in our society, in our families, in our country, in our businesses. Anybody want to start throwing out ideas?
Sorry, what were the 3 types?
Verbal, emotional, and physical. And all 3 have an impact. It's usually the verbal and emotional that really hurts the worst. But they are devastating. Victor?
I'm interested in how that made Johnny. That's really what I'm interested in. As you talk about that, as you be that person that had that experience, I'd like to hear how you could weave the different instances of bullying into what you talk about.
I can do that. When I was a young man, as I told you, my solution was physical. I was the littlest guy in the class, always. I was the littlest guy. So my solution was to get as big as I could. And I started running, and I started lifting weights, and I started doing all those things. Needless to say, because I felt inferior on the inside from being bullied, I turned to a life of alcohol at 12 years old. The first time I got bullied. Didn't really figure that out until later on in life. 12 years old, I started drinking, and I found a power within myself to say, it doesn't hurt no more. And then I could stand up.
So then what you chose to do for the solution to bullying actually created another problem. And that's probably the insidious nature of bullying that people suffer that sometimes we don't even hear about. I mean, that's what I'm following. Exactly.
So it's, what I hear you saying is not just the problem of bullying. There are secondary or 3rd, 4th, 5th, and many other issues that may or may not be addressed.
Yes, sir, because most of the time bullying, because you're felt and you're made to feel inferior, you're inferior. You start believing that you're inferior, and pretty soon you start hiding in that shell. And you start backing up in that shell. Pretty soon if you tell a teacher and the teacher does nothing, pretty soon you think, I must be inferior. And all of a sudden you start turning to other things, physically, emotionally, mentally, that's going to get you out of that situation. How are you going to battle it? My solution was drugs and alcohol. And it carried me that for a long, long time, eventually till I became a bully.
Oh, you became a bully? You're the first person that I've met that ever said that they were a bully. I've never met anybody that said that either.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Because I was so inferior that I loaded myself with weights, drugs, alcohol, and made myself. And my prey were those that were inferior to me or less weaker than I. And so when I would confront them, I was like a tiger on a piece of steak, but would show my superiority in front of my peers, where I was inferior, that they were going to bully me. I would step in and bully someone else, and they would think that, hey, this guy's pretty cool. They'd leave me alone. Or I'd do something so heinous, so devastating to society that most people were afraid of the retaliation that Johnny was going to do.
Well, one of the things that I think is important in identifying the problem and trying to stop it is getting to the root of why people bully, because what the U.S. Department of Education, they did a systemic study over 10 years and determined that physical bullying, even as a result of anti-bullying campaigns, bullying actually hasn't declined. Actually, bullying has increased as a result of anti-bullying, and they tried to figure out why. And what they determined, and Stanford University published these results, what Stanford discovered was, as physical bullying decreases, cyberbullying increases incredibly, because those people, they are going to lash out because they're a tiger at the end of the stick. And so what they're going to do is that if there's direct intervention like what happened on those benches, what that person is likely to do next is say, I know that person's Facebook page, I know where that person is, a lot of other stuff, and so I'm going to bully them through the internet. And so what I think has to be done, regardless of whatever the iterations are, the intervention has to be to the individuals. You have to figure out is this person bullying? Why is this person angry?
To the bully.
Exactly. Right. And there has to be intervention either through authority.
Different subgroups of people are actually bullying people. And to jump ahead to the solution, let me preface this statement by saying that I think one of the ironies of living in this great country is that the best classes that we need in school aren't taught at school. For example, how to write a resume. How does a man talk to a girl? Finance. And I think this one solution would be to teach kids not to bully at school at a young age, probably at the grammar school level, when they're able to think somewhat abstractly and see the consequences of their actions. We could have these anti-bullying classes. We could set the context at an early age.
There has been studies talking about the critical age of thinking. I believe it's 3 to 4 years old, 3 to 5 years old, critical thinking, and there's some ground roots meetings and things going on to target those young people at 3 to 5 to teach them society issues, teach them social issues that we can communicate at a very young age, those kinds of things. So that's very good. Yeah.
They also have therapists who work in schools that target anti-bullying. Oftentimes, though, there's not enough funding to have them stay full time, so they are having to do 3 or 4 schools part time. But the more that they're spending for that, the more that.
And what they did, well, one of the problems was the U.S. Marine Corps actually dealt with a lot of bullying issues because they found that DIs were basically bullying individuals, and so they figured I'll go and bully other Marines or other people in basic training. And so what they started to do was, especially after what happened at Parris Island, which was they actually sat down and commanders sat down with them and said, this is not the Marine Corps way. This is not the way that things go. And they kept a lot. When they found that when supervision was a lot closer to those folks, they found that bullying decreased in the ranks. That's one thing that they found over time. So I think being an authority, being there, really watching people, actually helps them do, and showing a good role model, a good example. Accountability, absolutely, because a lot of DIs were either removed from the Marine Corps or they were demoted or they were told that you can't do this anymore. So that's definitely important, I think.
I was part of the U.S. Navy, and I believe it was 1982. The commanding officer put a program together and called it the New Navy, and dealt with those kinds of issues. Yeah.
The other thing I was thinking about is the piece from a mental health perspective about shame. And I think also it happens a lot of the time at home, And so if there's like systemic intervention where we are targeting parents as well as families, as well as the child, it can be a more lasting effort.
Mental illness, which is at the top of the list of most communication you see, is becoming more and more popular. 4 or 5 years ago, you really didn't hear about mental illness. Now you hear mental illness a lot. I'm part of a speakers bureau in Roseville, California, called Mental Illness Speakers Bureau. After my brother passed away from mental illness and being bullied, he was a homeless vet, but being bullied on the streets, being bullied at work, he passed away. And it really touched my heart, which really got me on this bandwagon of saying, no more bullying. I don't care who you are. So mental illness, those 165,000 kids who stay home because they have been mentally abused, that's mental illness. They suffer from PTSD, and we haven't even dealt with that issue yet. So bullying is an epidemic. I appreciate all the participation. Lieutenant, you're sitting there nice and quiet. You have anything that you'd like to? No bullying? You've never been bullied? Yes. There you go. See? Almost all of us.
I'm just curious, what are the top 3 or 4 root causes of the bullying? Why do people bully?
There's still a lot of research. I've noticed that it's I wouldn't say hereditary, but it is a generational epidemic. Being in the life that I led, drugs and alcohol, in and out of jail and streets and living in my car and things like that, like I said, I participated on both ends. But I can tell you that from talking to many, many folks that have been abused or participated in bullying, they were bullied, maybe by their father, maybe by their mother, maybe by their uncle. Maybe they were physically abused, and they lash out on other folks, on other kids, that are more vulnerable than they are, right? The lion looking for the steak, that was me. Most bullies do that. Systematic. You know, my uncle was in prison, his father was in prison, my grandfather was in prison. I guess I'm going to prison. My dad was a bully, my grandfather was a bully. They're mean, evil people. They bullied me, they abused me. You know what? I'm getting my fair share. And that's just the human aspect. So the points of going farther back and having a safe place for those children. At a very young age, to say it's okay to share that your father is abusive. It's okay to share if you're going through something at home. It's okay to share if something's going on with your brother, your sister, your uncle, your aunt. Right now in our America, there is no safe place for a bully besides their own head, which is the most dangerous place to be 99% of the time.
I would like to add, I'm in the field of education. I'm an office manager at an elementary school, and I've been there for almost 28 years, and I've seen a lot of that bullying take effect at elementary level and then going on to higher levels with the student. However, I've seen the flip side of it this school year with a 10-year-old bullying his mother, where he would not come to school. She could not get him to come to school, and when she would get to the school, she'd come into the office to say, I can't get him out of the car, he won't come into school. And when she got him out of the car, he was beating her up, and his older brother was standing and watching. So I do believe that it has to start intervention at the elementary level because it is generational, because the kids have seen it occur at home or with something else, or even on the internet, watching some of the programs or some of the applications that are out there. These kids are suffering, and I agree with you, and I applaud you for bringing this to this level so that we can all begin to think about what can we do to help break this generational cycle that's out there with bullying. Very scary.
A lot of folks, when we're going into communities and we speak about bullying, a lot of times it moves a little bit. Sometimes we call it something else besides bullying. They're different than me. They look different than me. They dress different from me. They speak different from me. They're not from here, so they are inferior. Sometimes the generational gap, the way my father viewed other folks. And I would catch on to that. And I'd say, yeah, you know what? They are inferior. You know what? Those Russians, they aren't American. And at that time in the 60s and 70s, it was a hot item. So when my father would talk about that, and my father is Hispanic, very proud people. He was an American. My grandparents were American. One was from Mexico and one was from the Navajo Nation. They were American. So it was really odd to me when people started talking about inferiority of race, and it really made an impact on me. As I watched it through community, when I watched it through jail, when I watched it through the military, and we would systematically call it racial discrimination. It's bullying. That's what it's bullying. Because you don't look like me. You don't talk like me. You don't act like me. You don't dress like me. You're not from here. You're different. I'm going to do everything I can to show you that I'm more powerful than you are. That's bullying. You can put any name you want on it, but it's bullying. So we got to get back to this list to say, what are the top 3 things that we look on here and say, you know what, those 3 are really the most important 3 that we can really make a difference personally, professionally, globally. Inferiority, that's a root cause. You know, cyberbullying, that's a pretty hot issue. Every child, you see 6-year-olds with cell phones. You see 9-year-olds with Facebook pages. That is a hot item right there. Anybody else? Cyberbullying?
Oh, this was a different comment. Go ahead.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
I was just going to go back to the solutions because it sounds like there's bullying that occurs at different levels in life. It sounds like it starts generally at the grammar school, middle school, maybe high school, junior high level, and then it progresses into bullying maybe your friends or family members, and then finally, even if you have a successful job, it's in the workplace. It sounds to me like one of the best solutions, based on that video I just saw, is step up and don't tolerate it. Whether you see it at any of those levels, it sounds like the common solution at a high level would be for people to actively get involved and do something. Because if people don't do anything, kids like the kid in the video are going to continue to get bullied. But when people, especially multiple people, if a guy is 18, he's pretty big, and he bullies some kid that's 14, other people might not step up. But if 2 people see it and they step up together, there's always strength in numbers.
Yeah. When we watched that video, you watched them being bullied. And when the bystanders stepped in, you were like, yeah. Yeah, when that lady told them, get off the swing, you guys need to go away somewhere, you were like, yeah, that's what I would have done. And the question is, really? Is that what you would have done?
It seems that it's an odd comment, but it seems like the answer to bullying is for somebody else to bully the bully. Because there's really nothing else that they would understand except somebody intimidating them. And it's a hard habit to get into, to intimidate someone, to stop them from intimidating somebody else. Just another point of view.
Point of view, that's your story. I don't believe in your story. You cannot fight evil with evil.
But I see what he's getting at. But I think what he means is more of a derivation of leadership, which is which is I think a big deal. Which is actually, I want to go back to something that was mentioned before, because I think what you identified is a really interesting comment, which was basically about societal isolation because of ethnicity, because of race, because of your background or whatever it happens to be. And I think that that's something that goes on systemically in society. And when that happens, you're all of a sudden creating a subset of people who are very angry. I think it was very instructive. When John Gotti went to prison, he was the head of the Gambino family, Italian crime family. When he went to prison, the first thing he said to his wife is, he said, I want you to follow my instructions exactly. I don't want any of my kids to be involved in organized crime. You tell them, and it's more than that. I don't want them to even be around any of these guys because they're basically like him. And what he actually told an interviewer later is he said, listen, I'm a bully. I recognize I'm a bully. We needed that when we were Italians and we were isolated and it was the 1920s and everybody hated us and nobody wanted to be around us. But now in society, things are more inclusive. I don't want you even to be around those folks because if you do, what happens is that they're going to adopt their same tactics because that's natural because kids want to look for role models. If they see role models who are angry or people who that's the way they lash out, that's what they're going to do. If they see role models who are in authority who say, listen, I'm not going to tolerate this stuff. It's not that I'm bullying you. It's just that we as a society, we as a company, we as a school, we don't accept that this behavior is acceptable. And so we intervene, even if it's on a swing. we as a society members say that is not acceptable. If you let that go, then people say, I guess it must be okay. And that's why God, he turned his son and said, I don't even want you to be around these people because I don't even want implied that what I did was okay, because what I did was not okay. And so I think if you do that, it definitely helps. So anyway, that was just my thought.
Those were my thoughts exactly. Not evil for evil, but understanding that we draw the line. We are intervening and saying no more bullying. Yes.
All right. Well, I think you guys discussed about the American English, but I got bullied from all different kind of kids when I came here, like Chinese, Vietnamese, and also people who speak English, Asian Americans. And one way is that back then I didn't know, but I had a lack of self-esteem, that lack of confidence that I can stand up. But I did that because one day I was playing basketball, and the really tall guy came and took my basketball. You know what I do? I took the ball and run. And it's occurred to me that it keep happening, but even though you get bullied outside, but sometimes you get bullied inside within your family as well. Is that they say some things that might not be true, and they don't think it's going to hurt you, but sometimes it does affect you personally. So what I do is that I ignore them, and I tell myself that, yeah, I'm different than them, and I'm living my own life, and I don't need to be, or because I was bullied, and then I become a bully. So that, but I see a lot of people who being bullied is that they lack of self-esteem. They don't feel that they're important enough, equally to other people, but they are. So one way I feel that school or any community need to address to these kids that they are self-important. They are who they are, even though because for me is that you can really control whoever's. Bullies always say something different every time, and even though tell them not to, but sometimes words can become a killer. And
exactly. Thanks for sharing. Exactly right. Self-worth. We're going to wrap up here pretty soon. I think where was the intervention? Do we have intervention on there? Under solutions. Anti-bullying tactics. So that's one of them. So let's put a little circle around that, because that's kind of a big one that we kind of all think that's pretty good. Self-worth, unbelievable. Stepping up, kind of like anti-bullying. Confidence, which is self-worth. Victor.
I think Dan makes a huge point about the self-esteem in the individual, and bullying can only be identified by the person who's having the experience. And if the person who's having the experience is more sensitive than, say, another person, then what's not bullying might be perceived by them as bullying. So shoring up people's self-confidence and helping them feel better about themselves might go a long ways to them actually, when they're being bullied, they're actually being bullied as opposed to when someone is just being strong with them or being intense with them. Because all perceived acts of bullying is not really bullying. But if it's to the person, it seems like it is bullying. So I guess what I'm suggesting is that we do the intervention by helping people be more confident and not being overly sensitive. And I'm not negating the importance of being bullied at all. I'm simply using my own experience because when I was a kid, when I was in high school, there was this guy named Fuzz, about this tall. And for the whole 5 years of high school, I swore that the last day of school, Fuzz was going to beat me up. I just was waiting for Fuzz to beat me up for, back then, high school from 8th grade to 12th grade. And I just knew he was going to beat me up. The guy never even thought of me, but I guess something happened one day to make me think that he was bullying me. So I'm coming from that place, from the person who is overly sensitive and think they're being bullied and wasn't actually being bullied.
Every school has a Sid Farkas,
Yeah.
right? Or a Fuzz.
Tell them what's it.
Everybody does. So we can say that anti-bullying talks, self-awareness, building self-confidence in schools with young people, cyberbullying, we have to address that issue. Role models, another big thing. We can be the role models. Fellow Toastmasters, thank you for sharing anti-bullying tactics with me. My heart is filled this morning, and I think we have solutions as a society to change bullying.